exposing a $300 million scam. I thought it was 300,000.
God-given gift was that people are attracted to me. People just naturally gravitate towards me. My circle of influence started growing so natural.
Today, we're investigating one of the hardest cases of my career, a $300 million private equity company called Goliath Ventures, where the CEO was taking private planes, buying Rolls Royces, expensive mansions, while claiming that the whole thing was audited, backed 115%. They even took retiree money. I mean, what could go wrong? And when I was called to investigate them 6 months ago, I really had no idea what I was stepping into. Little did I know, this would be one of the toughest cases of my career.
How do you do all this? It is so good. Oh my God.
So the first time I ever heard about Goliath was actually from another journalist.
My name is Danny Dehick, and I've been investigating Goliath Ventures since the 1st of September 2025.
That's Danny. He's a journalist who's been featured by the New York Times, and he told me Goliath was a company that had hundreds of millions of dollars invested, and something just didn't feel right. So my first question to him was, well, who runs this thing?
The man behind it all, Christopher Delgado.
Today's guest is someone real special. My friend, when I heard your story, I just zoned into it. I'm like, I have to have this gentleman on my podcast. Not one person, and I do my research, my team does a lot of research, we call people, and not one individual came back negative. Chris, welcome.
Thank you for having me, KB.
Chris, where you come from?
I'm originally from California. I'm first generation Mexican-American.
Just looking at this dude, I don't trust him. Maybe that's for my attention from just first seeing the thumbnail of the video and seeing how this is going to go out. This dude's partying, doing a whole lot of weird stuff, nonsense, while like still managing like old people money. I don't know.
My mom was born in
The classic like Ponzi scheme kind of thing.
Mantis, Mexico. She came over here in her early teens. We grew up in a trailer park in Fontana, California.
I'm just gonna draw a picture for y'all. Go on social media. I follow him very closely. Private jet. You see the celebrities. You see Patrick Bet-David standing next to you at the Yankee Stadium. But you come from a trailer park.
Yeah. It's actually, sometimes I look back at myself. I look at the things that I've been able to do and accomplish and where I'm at in life and who is in my circle and who I can call as friends. And I amaze myself. But I think a lot of that comes with opportunity. I don't think people really understand the amount of risks that I took early on in my life, not only my corporate career, but also even with my current company and what I was willing to do and what I was willing to lose to get to this part.
Now, let's be honest. If you saw that kind of story anywhere but on this channel, you might say Chris represents the American dream. His mom is an immigrant. He came from a trailer park. He took risks. And by his early 30s, he's rich, successful. But when I saw this, the first thing I thought was, well, where's the pitch, right? I mean, just to state the obvious, this whole lifestyle on Instagram thing, the celebrity friendships, the story of overcoming all odds, it's pretty textbook marketing for a pitch, a sale. But with Goliath, it was like the opposite. No matter how much I watched clips of Chris, I just never found the pitch.
Would I be open, just knock on your door, hey Chris, I have some money, can I invest with you?
No.
But so like a private.
Very private.
Interesting.
My money, more of a consulting, even with Goliath.
It's private.
It's private. Even if you knocked on our door.
You're not getting in right away.
Yeah. No, we're a private equity firm. We only want to work with certain individuals, and we have a very structured model, and we don't want to bring people in that want to change that structure. This is the success behind the company. This is how we're willing to operate and play with you with. And if you don't want to adhere by our rules or the structure that has had tremendous success, then you're just not the right partner for us. So
This is a private equity investment company, which means, a I've got an investment opportunity. This sounds too good to be true. That is too good to be true. That they kept around the friends and family. They didn't do any public advertising other than Patrick Mendava's event, I should say.
Could make passive income for myself, raise my family, and basically enjoy life.
You know how bad this is going to look on Patrick's career? Because he kind of does the same. I mean, like, he's like a venture capitalist, or I'm sorry, the guy that like takes people money, makes more money off of it, and like helps consulting stuff and consults businesses. He has like all that stuff.
And that's how all these schemes grow, is word of mouth.
Now, Danny's right here. Goliath was mostly run on word of mouth, and it was tough because of that to find claims early on because this thing was very hush-hush. It wasn't until I found someone who actually was on the inside, an investor, that I learned what this whole thing was about, why people were investing millions of dollars.
I got into Goliath via trust. I've heard a lot of stories of other people getting in from trust as well. And it was like a chain reaction. So I trusted someone who trusted someone who trusted someone that knew the director of partner services there, right? Trust can go a long way. I remember the day that I was told about the investment opportunity, and that was on February 9th, 2024. That was the day I was told about it.
Tell me what the pitch was to you.
You know, these guys within this private joint venture fund, they invest the money into liquidity pools. And I'm not going to tell you that I know I'm an expert in liquidity pools. I kind of knew how it worked. Sure, the returns were crazy, but I thought they were onto something.
And there it is. That's finally the pitch we were looking for. We discovered that Goliath is a company managing liquidity pools. And this is something I'm deeply familiar with from my past work. Better yet, my source gave me emails, contracts, and I immediately knew Danny was right. Something was wrong. Goliath claimed they were making all these profits from liquidity pools on Uniswap, which, based on my experience, would generate maybe 4 to 10% a year. Meanwhile, Goliath's contracts with investors said they would be paid 3, 4, 5% a month, and you could take. Investors said they would be paid 3, 4, 5% a month, and you could take payouts or you could leave it in. You could do something they called hyper compounding. Now, obviously, those numbers don't add up. Goliath would be spending more money than they made. But the problem is, Goliath is paying out at this point. And so no one wants it to stop. No one except for Danny, who wouldn't stop digging.
You need to look into My Liquidity Partners, because that's where it all started. It's a mirror image of Goliath Ventures. They registered the domain name for My Liquidity Partners and Goliath Ventures 20 days apart. I think Chris just copied their concepts.
Well, let's find out. Let's look at their website. It's dead right now, but pulling an old archive, we do see similarities. Liquidity pools run on Uniswap, allowing you to hyper compound. Then I saw this photo from Danny. That's Chris Delgado with Verlin Santiago, the creator of My Liquidity Partners, who allegedly fled to Dubai. Now, to be clear, My Liquidity Partners was found to be a Ponzi scheme. Could it be that Goliath was stealing another person's playbook and operating it as a private equity firm? I mean, it's obviously...
The guy that fled to Dubai probably hired this dude. And basically, that guy works for the guy that fled to Dubai. I think that's what's going on. And I don't think that's the only guy. And I think CoffeeZilla may not know this, but there's a lot of guys that are like Global Ventures that got put on by that guy that fled to Dubai. So that guy that fled to Dubai probably has lots of money, and he's like seeing these guys that are like money hungry. They'll do anything to make money, and he's like probably rallying up like 2, 3, 4, 5 people. And these 4 or 5 people make a group. They're like, okay, we're gonna work for this guy, this and that. And then the guy's like, okay, cool. I'm gonna show you guys. Basically repackage what I've done and rebrand it to 5 different companies, and you guys just market it, and you guys get commissioned off it and all that. But everything probably goes to that main dude, because I've seen it happen with marketing. Some guy did it for a marketing company, and he was scamming people, but he wasn't the guy that was scamming. He did that. Like, he would get on board like money hungry kids that would like flex Rolexes and stuff online. When in reality, they just work for and they like say I own a company, but like they don't have anything owned to the company, and the main guy, no one knows who he is, and it's this. I think this is what's going on with this.
A big accusation to make. So I started digging through my old Ponzi cases and found another link, Trader's Domain, a Ponzi scheme I investigated years ago. I had all their insider emails, and I found within them Chris Delgado. He was emailing as a special investor trying to withdraw $1.3 million from a collapsed scam. And this is when all his old claims about taking risk came back to me.
I don't think people really understand the amount of risks that I took early on in my life, not only my corporate career, but also even with my current company, and what I was willing to do and what I was willing to lose to get to this part.
At this point in the investigation, I'm like 99.9% sure this is just a Ponzi scheme worth hundreds of millions of dollars. Chris is already involved with some. The numbers don't make sense. And so I'm thinking, clearly I'm going to make a video, right? But that's when the first lawsuit dropped.
I have been sued in America, and the dumbest thing I could ever do is turn up in America. Hello.
Yeah, but they're going to try to bury you financially.
I'm already buried financially, because that's the crazy thing. In the lawsuit, my take on it is they're trying to tell me to back up the bus and scare tactics. Around about early October, Christopher tried to serve me.
So do you realise that those papers are from a company that has stolen $500 million from American investors?
Hey, Danny, I have no idea about that. You might be 100% correct, Danny, but I've got no control over it.
Yeah.
So I've just got to give them to you.
Yeah.
Well, shit. I got to figure out what I'm going to do next. I got big problems, Maxwell. I got big problems.
Oh, geez, Coffee, don't tell me you brought a lawsuit into my bar.
No, this is... I might get sued. This whole complaint, they sued Danny, and now everybody's freaking out.
Of course they're freaking out. Have you seen this guy's building? Chris has a lot of money.
Well, yeah, obviously, and that's the problem. I can't afford to get sued right now. But what am I supposed to do? This ruins everything.
You could always report it to the government, not release a video.
You don't think that'd work? In this era? The odds are basically zero.
Coffee, I don't see how you have any other choice.
Maybe you're right. Maybe you're right. I mean, it's worth a shot, right?
Yeah, you betcha.
All right, well, thanks anyways.
She's talking to ChatGPT.
Later.
This is crazy production.
Wait, what about your tab? Whoever pays his tab always comes out of my paycheck. Matter of fact, hold on. I'm his sidekick. He should be paying me. Yeah, here we go. Will CoffeeZilla release a video about Goliath Ventures? Not anymore. Big Maxwell bucks, here we come.
So, I don't really know how to say this, but it was at this point I decided to file a whistleblower complaint to the government. Sort of a Hail Mary. I mean, I didn't know what else to do. And yes, I know that's rich coming from the crime is legal guy, right? But what some of you don't know is I've done this several times before. Whenever I have enough evidence, I do feel it's important to not just make a YouTube video about it, but give the evidence to the proper authorities. That is continued even as our regulators have been gutted. Now, normally, I never talk about this activity because, one, a lot of times it goes nowhere, but also it can be sensitive, and so I generally don't talk about it. But in this case, it is essential to understanding what actually happened next, because without that whistleblower complaint, I was ready to give up on this case. I mean, I literally was like, what am I gonna do here? I'm gonna get sued if I talk about this, and like, what are my other options? But as I started to pull together evidence for this government tip, I got an email archive of Goliath's old newsletters, and I start to see more and more of what they've been telling people, and I'm just like, I can't believe what I'm seeing. I mean, near the top, a financial audit.
They sent out a newsletter saying that they had an independent audit, and the independent audit come back and said 115% of investors' funds were secured for the whole year of 2024.
So to be clear, this is an announcement of an audit sent to investors to reassure them Goliath was backed 115%. Now, the key question is, who's the auditor? Who did the audit? Well, it turned out it was BlackBlock Management Services. Now, just the name of that company got people pretty confused right away.
I was on the phone to a fire lady and she was raving on about he's been in Forbes magazine. And I'm going, they pay for this. It's common. It's a sponsored advert. No interviewer, no name. And the funniest one, well, it wasn't funny, but they said, but they are they're invested with BlackRock. And I go, no, it's BlackBlock. And I said, go to MyBlackBlock, it's very confusing, .com. And it's not, and that's in the contract. You've just misheard it.
So BlackBlock, a fly-by-night company, not BlackRock, the world's largest asset manager, is the actual people who audited this company. They are led by a guy named Matt Birks, and he's going to be very important to our story because this is when I started to first hear about retirement funds.
You want to know more nonsense? Those retirement funds that they rolled over. Or I'm still actually confused as to how they were able to take other people's retirement funds.
They took people's retirement funds?
Yeah. So people rolled over their IRAs, and I'm not saying that's as in I know anybody who did this, but that's what they also promoted the retirement fund stuff.
They promoted that?
Yeah, as in like they had like this team doing, I think it was Pierce Curry is from what I've
WealthMD?
heard the name. Yeah, something like that.
Now you can see the recognition from me there. MyWealthMD was this program I had seen pop up over and over again. Well, if you go to their page, who do you find behind it? None other than Matt Birks. The same person behind the audit company, BlackBlock, is the founder of MyWealthMD, and I got a copy of their investment contract. What I noticed is it looks very similar to Goliath's, but it gave you lower profits, only 2% a month for the first $1 million. And to make it stranger, Goliath Ventures was nowhere mentioned on their contract at all. Not only that, the website was clearly catered to older people, which concerned me. Unlike Goliath, they had videos of retirees endorsing the company.
Definitely recommend them in particular for any financial retirement goals. Yeah, I'd feel very confident giving his name out to any of my friends or relatives.
I would recommend to anyone, friends, people I care about, have him meet with them and discuss their issues because I feel sure he can help.
Now, I guess the question is this related to Goliath if their name's not on the contract? Well, that's when Danny found an insider meeting between Goliath and Matt Birks, explaining how they'd be managing retirement funds through MyWealthMD.
It's a $1 trillion market, retirement accounts. So on qualified money, yes, essentially the way it works is whatever percentage they get paid, the fee over that just gets split between the referring partner or director and WealthMD. That's how it works. WealthMD does all of the work. What's the split? You're responsible for zero. It's just half and half. You do zero work.
Zero work for you. This is a room of basically recruiters for Goliath Ventures, and what they're told is they could get retirement money and funnel it into MyWealthMD, who would manage the back end and split profits with them. And then someone asked, when can we start doing this?
For us.
Does this go into effect
Wait.
right now?
Right now it's available.
Real
right
quick.
now. Yeah.
Time out.
Right.
Time out. Sit before you don't get too excited. If someone is currently at a job, they have a 401k, thrift savings plan, something like that, that money we can't touch. If they are currently making contributions into a plan, it is not eligible for rollout in service.
There is one.
Get them to retire today.
This is why if someone has a qualified plan, you say, call Matt. I know those questions to ask. And so if there's a way to get the money out, I will get it.
Wow. When I saw this clip, I could not believe it. If there's a way to get the money out, I will get it. I mean, they were scheming to get retirement money, which types they could legally get. And from the testimonials on their website, it sounds like they did that.
We would meet yearly, and usually every time I came in, it was a pleasant surprise. The accounts going up, or they would find new accounts out there that I could transfer funds from one account to another and make a bonus money. So there was those kind of surprises, but and there was a lot of them. So yeah.
Is this not completely insane? They were hunting down retirement accounts to add to Goliath, and the same guy running the retirement money is auditing Goliath and saying it's back to 115%. Now, at this point, I finish my whistleblower report and I send it off to the DOJ program on October 24th, 2025. And I'm nervous because even on the best days, it's an uncertain thing. It takes forever. But I know that Chris Delgado is very well connected. I discover he's donated to key figures. He went to the White House. And guess who he met? FBI Director Kash Patel.
You are so fucked.
Why did it have to be Cash? I mean, of all the people, the one guy I've been talking about for months about Epstein, you don't think he actually saw those videos, right?
Coffee. It's a side channel. Nobody cares about the Epstein files. Well, these videos have like a few thousand views.
1 million views, yeah.
Yeah, you're fine. Don't worry about it.
Okay. Well, if you think so, I mean, I'll trust you. I just... Because it actually gets worse than that. I mean, the worst part is that it doesn't stop there. He kind of, said that he might have Kash Patel in his pocket.
I have heard statements from Chris where he reckons that he's got Kash Patel in the bag.
What does that mean?
That means that he thinks that if he gets in the shit, that he's got Kash Patel.
You just have to imagine my morale on this case. It is at an all-time low at this point. I mean, let's look at the facts. Chris has retiree money. Supposedly, he claims he has Kash Patel. And what do we got? Well, Danny is getting sued by Chris. He's already broke. I'm being sued in a separate case. I'm trying not to go broke. And I'm thinking, we can't do this. This case is literally David versus Goliath. The deck is stacked, except instead of David, we have Danny. And instead of Goliath, as a giant, he has frosted tips and a few $100 million. Or at least we thought he had a few $100 million. We weren't exactly sure. I mean, soon we learned he probably wasn't as liquid as we thought. Ponzi schemes have a way of doing that to you.
We heard from numerous sources that some people weren't getting paid in November. And then later on, we found out that it went back to October, that people had actually started missing their dividends.
So this is honestly the nightmare scenario that we were always trying to avoid, because when payments freeze, this is when it starts to hit the retirees, the investors, the hardest. They start to panic. They genuinely thought this thing was audited, backed. They were told that. And then they're scared to talk now too, because Danny is getting sued. So at this point, it's November 2025, and I feel like I don't know what to do. So I just reach out to Chris Delgado. I don't know if I'm going to do a story, but I demand to see the Black Bloc audit details. Chris responds. He can't show me because he says that auditor is a witness in his case versus Danny. I ask how much money Goliath manages. Chris responds, hundreds of millions. Finally, I address the delayed payments. Chris claims he had to freeze the funds for a full forensic audit, and then says that they're actually going to be resuming. The next payments would come December 15th. Now, I was kind of surprised because that was only in a month that we'd find out the truth. Unfortunately, I later learned this is also what the investors were told.
I think that was just pulled out of his ass to make sure it wouldn't be awkward at the Christmas party.
Which we had people inside the event who had got through the security and were filming the inside of this event with Jason Derulo. This was like a big $5 million event that was just over the top. The people that we had in the event were telling us that it was no expense spared. Meanwhile, all money was frozen. I think it was on the 10th of December. And then Christopher took off back to Dubai on the 15th of December. And that was disgusting at that time.
So right before payments are supposed to come out, they have this big $5 million party with Jason Derulo. Investors are feeling good. And then, of course, the 15th arrives. Nobody gets paid. And, I don't know what to do. I feel terrible for people. But at the same time, nobody's talking. There's still this threat of a lawsuit. And I've contacted at least probably 100 people for this story at this point who had money in Goliath or knew about Goliath. And basically, almost all of them are terrified or embarrassed. And at this point, I'm wondering if I can't get people on the record, how else can I establish from 99.9% to 100% that this thing is just fully fake? And that's when I did some more digging. Specifically, I wanted to focus on a certain map I had seen. This is a map of Goliath Ventures money. It's something I put in my whistleblower report, and it basically explained how they claimed the money would be sent around. Basically, people were wiring money into Goliath that goes to Coinbase. Eventually, that's sent to Uniswap for liquidity pools, which then they paid people out of. And I realized, if this was on the blockchain, we should be able to see proof of this, like trace it back to these supposed liquidity pools. But where do we start? Well, I had some victims' crypto payout wallets that I decided to use. I traced them backwards through the payments because in theory, if Goliath is really using those liquidity pools, I should see payouts coming from wallets connected to them, right? And eventually, after I had done that, what did I find? There are no liquidity pools in this scheme. Well, there was a tiny little bit. What I found was a little over $20,000, but almost all of the money, tens of millions of dollars, was going straight from Coinbase to pay out old investors. And Goliath says themselves, the Coinbase money, where's it coming from? New investors. So putting this together, new money goes to Coinbase, which pays out old money. And it was at this point I excitedly brought my results to Danny to see what he thought.
So there's no incoming money.
Where do they have it?
So that's a graph of a Ponzi scheme. That's just brilliant. So that's fantastic. So that's great. I mean, that there is that's just everything they have said has just been just undone very simply, which is it's actually quite disturbing. That.
Why do you say that?
Well, they've just lied to everybody. They've just said that they were doing something, and we've been. I'm not crypto clever. They're doing that.
Why does this look like he's not in this room? The table is like weird with his hands. The focus, I think it's the camera focus, but oh, you can't see what I'm talking about. He's like not in the room. It looks so weird. Maybe it's the background, green screen, and then that's just the table.
Why do you say that?
Well, they've just lied to everybody. They've just said that they were doing something, and we've been. I'm not crypto clever, and all of a sudden they've been telling everyone they've been doing pancake swaps, and somebody told me to say, oh well, it doesn't make enough money to do the type of liquidity they are doing. And here we are, we've just got a graph in front of us here where it just shows there's no trading. It's a straight Ponzi scheme right here.
By now.
Yeah, definitely green screen, because there's a paper on the table or something that the guy is looking at, but we don't see. So there's definitely some green screenery going on here. And probably this table is much bigger than we can assume. And he probably dragged his own character closer to him to make it look way more personal. It is a personal situation.
There's no trading. It's a straight Ponzi scheme right here.
There's definitely a Ponzi scheme.
By now, I had all the pieces. I had the pitch, I had the proof, I had the Ponzi. I had done my best to report this thing, but people are not being paid at this point, and I don't care anymore. I mean, I'm going to go public. Whether I get sued or not, I've done my best to do all the due diligence I can. And so it was at this point I start writing the story. And right as I do, right before I filmed it, the craziest thing happened.
Orange County man charged with running a multi-million-dollar Ponzi scheme posted $1 million bond earlier today.
The Justice Department says Christopher Delgado stole more than $328 million, but instead of investing it in cryptocurrency, he pocketed the money. And only we were there. But
today.
The Justice Department says Christopher Delgado stole more than $328 million.
$328 million. Oh, snickerdoodles. In Department of Justice. So that looks like the CoffeeZilla email that he did was.
But instead of investing it in cryptocurrency, he pocketed the money. And only we were there to ask him about it as he left the federal courthouse.
Mr. Delgado, West 2 Investigates. Can we talk to you about the charge against you?
West 2 News was the only news organization outside the federal courthouse as Christopher Delgado left the building. An ankle monitor now installed to track his whereabouts pending trial.
You can contact my counsel. Have a blessed day.
Meanwhile, Delgado left the federal courthouse Wednesday in a Rolls Royce.
Oh my God.
You cannot imagine my shock when I saw this. Christopher Delgado was charged with running a $328 million Ponzi scheme. And almost better than that, immediately afterwards, I found out that the lawsuit against Danny got dropped in full. And this is where I really have to say, I have no clue, honestly, how much or little of my whistleblower report was used. I give full credit to the team who actually investigated and charged Chris for chasing down the facts. However, what I do know is that Danny was a massive help to everyone. The amount of information this guy dug up, along with his team he calls the Avengers, is just staggering, and I really have to give them credit. But honestly, if it hadn't been for me trying to get this whistleblower report, this video probably wouldn't have existed. I would have dropped the case for sure. It was only chasing down those last things, trying to prove this, even though I knew there was really nothing I could do, that drove me to get to this point. And given that Danny was such a huge part of that, I'll link his Ko-fi account if you want to support his work. He didn't ask me to say this. I'm doing it because I happen to know that financially he's not doing amazing. Let's just say investigative journalism, when you're being sued, is not very easy and you need lots of support. But honestly, this whole thing felt surreal, and I knew Danny had to be my first call when I heard the news.
Danny DeHeck, we finally got the news that Chris Delgado got arrested today. You were the first person I had to call. What was that like emotionally?
Well, I didn't absorb the information. It was just ridiculous. I did have a lot of interesting parts because I was talking to Homeland Security at the same time, and they didn't know he'd been arrested, or that they couldn't provide me any information about the arrest. And I said, well, I've got the document here. Because he rang me because I gave him the actual court filings, and he said, we haven't got that yet. How did you get it? I said, I could tell you, but I'd have to shoot you.
It's unbelievable. I'm shocked. They never move this fast.
So John, who heads the investigation, said he's been investigating for 20 years, and he said this is the fastest that they've ever got an indictment done.
It always takes, Danny, let me tell you, it always takes years. Even I was just interviewing you a moment ago, and we were both talking, this is never gonna happen.
When I found out, I actually burst into tears, mate, I'll tell you. Even when I got back to New Zealand, my partner was taking a photo of me walking through, and I just burst into tears. It just hits you like a ton of bricks, this sort of stuff. And even just before we talked to you today, I've just found another lady that's in Canada. 230-odd thousand, put $100,000 in, sold her house, put the proceeds of her house into the investment, and also put some credit card money in there, and now she's just realised it's a scam, and she doesn't feel like she's got anyone to help her.
It's brutal. This has affected so many lives so negatively. I'm so happy that he's getting charged, as he should.
We don't even really want this sort of result. You know, it's not why we do it. It is actually just trying to make a difference. The power of our investigations is where I'm prideful of that. The team that I have of volunteers is absolutely first class.
I can't believe we got it. We got it.
Oh yeah. Yeah. What are we celebrating?
The bet finally paid off. Yeah.
Wait, you knew about the bet?
Of course. What do you mean? It's your idea. Go all in.
Okay. All right. I wasn't expecting you to be so cool about it.
Cash came through. Cash came through.
That's what I'm talking about. All right.
I never thought. I've been making fun of him for a long time.
I'm saying,
but they got him. They got the arrest.
Wait. What?
Chris Delgado. They got him.
Oh no.
You pulled it together. I'm proud of you.
I gotta make some calls.
Yeah, you take whatever call you need, champ. You take whatever call you need.
No, yeah. Yeah, no, the deal's off. The deal's off. Pull out. Pull out now. Oh, God.
Wait. Are you crying?
I can't cry. You know I can't cry. I'm very sensitive about that.
I thought you'd be so happy.
You sold me out. You knew the whole time, didn't you? What happened to crime is legal?
That was last year. I mean, this is, I guess they catch some of them. We were wrong about that a little bit.
I'm ruined.
Crime is partially legal.
I'm gonna have to sell my figurines. Curse you, Cash Patel. Why? Why?
Well. You've made it to the last part of the video, but not the end. This is the part where we watch all the fine folks at patreon.com/CoffeeZilla who make this show possible. You guys know we don't do sponsorships. We don't shill out to private equity. Okay, this is an independent show because of you. And actually, we have a brand new investigation that just went live related to this video. We actually had a whole new investigation spawn. We opened a cold case that was basically created by a UFC Hall of Famer who exposed a Ponzi scheme. Super interesting story. And it intersects with this one in a fascinating way. You'll see some players from this. And it's only available right now on patreon.com/CoffeeZilla, as are all early episodes ad-free. So if you enjoy this video, you enjoy content like this, be part of what makes it possible.